Raise your hand if you remember Coach Woody Hayes. I thought a lot of you would remember Coach Woody Hayes. Without a doubt, he was a great football coach. But folks, let me tell you something. He was even a better person than he was a coach. And I don't say that because I'm lucky enough to be an All-American at Ohio State or lucky enough to win a couple Heisman trophies at Ohio State. I say that because Coach Woody Hayes was a man who had great leadership qualities. He was dedicated to the Ohio State University, dedicated to the game of college football, dedicated to the coaches who worked for him and the players who played for him. He was a disciplinarian. He set fair and reasonable rules and regulations, and he would enforce his rules and regulations without a doubt. He was a great man. But one of the things that I liked most about Coach Hayes was that he was extremely honest. But even more than that, I liked the fact that Coach Hayes cared a great deal about people. He cared a great deal about people. You know, I'll never forget when he recruited me out of high school to play football for Ohio State University. I remember at the time I was in wrestling practice in my senior year of high school, and he called my wrestling coach up and asked if he could speak with me over the telephone. Coach let me out of practice to talk to Coach Hayes. I was all excited because I knew the only reason that he didn't want to talk to me was because he was interested in me playing football for Ohio State. And that excited me. I got on the phone with Coach Hayes, and he invited me to his favorite restaurant. And some of you might remember that restaurant, the old Highlight restaurant, which was on the west side of Ohio State's campus. I remember hurrying home, getting dressed up to go to dinner with Coach Hayes, being very excited. Got to dinner with Coach Hayes, and we had a good dinner. But at the end of the dinner, I was a little bit disappointed. I went home that night. I'll never forget, my father asked me how the dinner went with Coach Hayes. And I told him, I said, Daddy, I don't think he wants me to play football for me. My father said, well, why do you say that? I said, because he never mentioned one thing to me about football. He said, well, what did he talk about? I said, all he talked about was an education and how important it was for me to get an education. I'll never forget, my father looked me dead in the eye. He said, well, don't you think he's concerned about you as a person? And not just someone who's going to get out on the football field, run for a lot of yards, score touchdowns for him. But right then, I really didn't know. But he continued to recruit me. And I made the choice to go to Ohio State University. And I'm so glad that I did. Because I'll never forget, in the first meeting that we attended as a team, the first thing that he told all of us was that if we were in school for anything else other than to get a good education, then we might as well get up and leave his meeting. He had a saying that stuck with me. He always said that an athlete without an education could be headed for a bad situation. An athlete without an education could be headed for a bad situation. And if you think about that, folks, that's so true. Especially in today's time when you'll find a lot of athletes who go to college just to get the opportunity to play in the professional ranks, not really realizing that there's only a very small few that can make it from college to the professional ranks. Coach Hayes knew that, and he wanted to make sure that his players prepared themselves in other ways for life. You know, a quote from General Colin Powell about leadership, I think, is very much in line with Coach Hayes' teachings. General Colin Powell once said, leadership is solving problems. The day soldiers stop bringing their problems to you is the day you stop leading them. They have either lost confidence that you can help them or concluded that you do not care. Either case is a failure of leadership. Well, let me say to you that Coach Hayes never lost his leadership abilities. He was a disciplinarian. He was a dedicated and compassionate man who cared about his players on and off the field. He taught us, and Steve, you can attest to this, he taught us about the concept of paying forward, which to me is a very essential part of being a leader. You see, I will never ever forget the Thursday nights after practice when Coach Hayes would gather a few of us together, take us down to Children's Hospital, put us in the back of his El Camino, and take us down to Children's Hospital to visit with the kids. He didn't want the media to know anything about it. As a matter of fact, if they'd have known about it, he wouldn't have done it. But Children's Hospital would have a special door for us to enter, and a special door for us to leave. But I would never, ever forget the look on the kids' faces when they saw the Ohio State University players come in just to talk to them. Coach Hayes knew what he was doing. He knew the impact that the Buckeyes would have on those kids and how it would lift those kids' spirits. I'll never forget about how Coach Hayes would encourage us to take the time to visit elementary and junior high school students, to talk about our college experience, encouraging them to make going to college one of their goals in life. He said that you can never pay back. You can never pay back the good things that someone may have done for you, but you can always pay forward by helping someone else or being involved in your community. Ladies and gentlemen, the decision to make a time commitment to volunteer, to devote precious time and energy to an important cause is certainly a difficult one. We all know that life moves fast. It often seems that there's a never-ending list of things that we must do or get done. So how can you balance your work time or your family time or other responsibilities? How can you be sure you take the time to rest and recharge your body and mind from many challenges of the day or the weeks or months ahead? For me, that decision is not that tough anymore. I don't feel like I have a choice. I feel like I have to volunteer. I feel like I have to do something to help others. I feel like I have to pay forward because I learned that from a man who I think is the very best. I learned that from Coach Woody Hayes. And Coach Woody Hayes not only had that sort of impact on me, he had the same impact on many of his players with the coaches who coached alongside him. And I can tell you that they are paying forward by volunteering and being good community service where they live. I believe it's important to pass that word of paying forward along to you. Coach Hayes was a huge inspirer in my life. But it wasn't just because he was a great football coach, but it was mainly because of the way that he cared about people.